Star Blazers when I was a kid. It's just a cartoon, you know, and it wasn't until I grew up and reached the age of accountability or whatever and figured out it was anime and you know. So that same thing happens with this large group of fans of Dragon Ball Z. So changing names up, you know, that were major characters or larger characters or larger, more popular attack moves or things to that nature, we kind of had to try to walk a line where we're teetering back and forth to say, okay, what do we keep that you know, a grand majority of the fan base is kind of already comfortable with and aware of, and then how much of it can we go back and try to put a little bit of a, you know, of more of that original flair to it. And so we kind of tried to walk that fine line. So instead of going one way completely or the other way completely, maybe this isn't all that always the best, but we think it was the best we could do is trying to walk that line and
hey Justin,
both sides.
Does that have to do with mouth flap sometimes? Like if you have Tien versus Tien Shinhan or something like that, and they say it and you have to fit it in? Right. I've experienced that before in other anime.
Absolutely.
To where you have, because they have longer names in Japanese, but you have something you want to say, sometimes you're like, well, we call them Tien Shinhan or Tien or I don't know what their full names are in Japanese. And sometimes you have a mouth flap you gotta fit, so we're trying to compromise. I know the effort was to keep it as pure as possible.
To me also, the names of the characters weren't as, I mean, honestly weren't as important to me to fix than kind of the story and the script, and like some of the editing that we had to do back then. So, and it would have been, honestly, it would have been so hard and awkward for the actors who've said Krillin for 12 years now to say Kuririn. Like, it just would have been, some of these names were just too difficult to try and integrate in the show. So we figured, like, the names are solid, we all know what to call them, we don't want half the world going, oh yeah, I love Kuririn, and then it's like, no, it's Krillin, dude. Like, no, it's Kuririn. Haven't you watched that?
Well, not to mention the fact, you know, Krillin and Kuririn is a lot closer than Krillin and Bob, so we're as close as possible, you know. It has the spirit of the character's name, I think, so.
I mean, we do take a great deal of effort to match the movements of the character's mouth, you know, as closely as we can. And then, of course, the idea of that is that if it's going to air between Avatar and whatever other cartoon might be there that are, you know, pre-laid and animated straight to those voice actors' mouths, then our show, even though it's a dub, has to compete with that. So it's got to be bang on close. It has to look like it was a pre-laid show. Thank you.
Thanks.
He was taking a picture, that's why.
Yeah, I was taking pictures of you guys.
First off, I've got to say I love you guys. Yusuke, Armstrong, and Goku.
Thank you.
Love that.
Thank you. Kuwabara.
And Kuwabara, of course.
Thank you.
When you're playing two characters, I know you two specifically, when you're playing two characters in the same scene, and you listen to your other character playing playback during recording, what is it like for you doing that?
So the last part of the question was, am I hearing the other character back?
When you're hearing it back, like when they're previewing it or whatever.
From the other character, not the one I'm currently playing?
Yeah.
That's not always the case. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. When I first started voice acting, I had a real bad habit of, I'm such a natural mimic that I had a real bad habit of, if I was, for example, playing against a person who I wasn't playing, say it was a high squeaky voice or some voice that was thoroughly entertaining to me, they'd play their line into my line, and I'd either start trying to do that voice, or I would be so entertaining, oh yeah, that's too funny, I can't do this. You know, so then I finally got to the point where, yes, I can do that, but typically when we record Dragon Ball Z Kai or Dragon Ball Z, usually because of how damaging it is to do long hours, especially with a voice like King Kai, Chris will set up a session like this, like, what do you want to do first? I go, well, let's do all the Goku first, then the King Kai, then the screaming. So, or we could do Goku screaming then King Kai, because King Kai is the least affected by my voice giving out. Goku's the most heavily affected, so there's a lot of logistical things. When I hear it back after the fact, when I'm watching myself on television, that is completely surreal. And oftentimes when I'm sitting next to friends, or sitting next to my girlfriend or whatever, she's like, I can't believe I'm sitting next to you and it's not. I go, I know, that means I'm doing my job right. If you think it's me, then I'm not doing it right. If you don't think it's me, then I'm doing my job right. Because you're talking to yourself right there? And I go, yes, I'm talking to myself.
Yes, I'm talking to myself. Yes, I'm talking to myself. What?
I'm just like, at some shows I have tried to have fun and do two voices at the same time and go back and forth, and I've done it a couple times. But that's great. So it's a surreal experience would be the operative word there. Surreal, yeah.
Anything to add?
I guess a lot. It's something I never get tired of, for sure. It's less of a mystery now because I've heard it for so long. Like I have to admit, I'm kind of getting used to it now. But still, anytime I pass a network and I see one of our shows on it, whether it's Full Metal or whether it's Dragon Ball Z, I will always like watch it. Now I don't schedule to watch it because the last thing I want to do sometimes when I get home is watch more of what I watched in tiny little pieces for 12 hours. Sometimes I'll just sit on the couch and watch complete silence, and that's when I'm really excited to hear voices in my head. But it's always fun. I love it. I don't know. I don't take it for granted. That's for sure. I absolutely love doing it. There was a while. There was one part of the saga around where Mr. Popo and Kami and Yamcha during like the Garlic Jr. saga around that time. I was playing everybody. Get the sacred wall to Mr. Popo. I cannot lie. Go on, get out of here. Hey, I'm a vampire now. And it was really funny, especially the scenes with like Kami and Mr. Popo running around were just bad. Because both of those voices, with all due respect, were not really good voices for me.
I always liked Kami because he sounded like the scientist on the Super Friends. Wonder Woman, I need you to take the invisible jet and go on stage. I always loved that voice. It's like, you're the scientist from the 70s Super Friends show. For some reason that sounds like it.
My trouble is trying not to be too critical. And every time I go back, like during the days of Yu Yu Hakusho, which episode that would air, I would watch it. Oh, maybe we can go fix that before the DVD comes out. So there's this kind of need to constantly fix and touch and stuff like that. So before I pulled all my hair out, I had to stop trying to watch it so much. So now I will wait and then 6, 7, 8, 10 months, year after the DVDs come out, I'll finally cut the wrapper off and maybe pop it in and watch. I'm far enough removed from the show that I can watch it without analyzing and critiquing. So.
By the way, do you know what my nickname for Justin is? Can I tell them? Too much.
I not remember what it is.
Your nickname for you? What is it? When I first met Justin, he had a much thicker beard and he had long, flowing blonde hair. It still is long and flowing, but he pulls it back. So I used to call him I used to call him Super Saiyan Jesus. And he said my phone is Super Saiyan Jesus. And so now when you're writing in a Funimation, please write, "Dear Super Saiyan Jesus, I pray that you will release this DVD or whatever."
That's going on YouTube.
So I love giving people nicknames. Anyway, I just want to throw that in. Sorry, I'm going to embarrass you, Justin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, I have 2 quick questions.
Sure.
First one, for the video games, do they use the old recordings or do you re-record for them?
We record everything for the video games.
The other question is, I noticed a lot of the old cast returned, but then for some characters like Frieza and Gohan, the different actors, and I was just wondering what the decision was for some of the characters.
The decisions were, they were different in every case, but I can tell you for the most part, it either had to do with logistics, the actor couldn't do it or wasn't available enough, or I'll say this, in the case of Frieza, I really had intended to use Linda Chambers as Frieza. She's really a super nice lady, and she did a great job on the original Frieza. She really did. However, the show is different, a lot different. I don't know if you've noticed this, but dialogue passes by really fast. It's like, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's been written by Michael Tatum, who you guys might know from other things, but he's one of the main writers on it, and that guy can pack some words into it. So when you imagine doing the hardest voice you know how to do, and then have to do it 5 times faster than you ever had to do it. It was becoming a logistics problem. We couldn't do it. We were having to cut these beautifully written lines down by half. And Frieza's been written as a completely different character now. It wasn't written with all the bubblegum, schlock, dorkiness that the original character had when it was written the first time. Frieza, in my opinion, didn't honestly scare me that much. Now, Frieza terrifies me.
Yeah,
and
it's creepy.
And this isn't the fault of Linda.